Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Ninja-Ninjutsu podcast. I'm your host, Don Rowley. Today, we're going to be talking about a very basic skill that the ninja use that you can use, even if you don't want to use it as a ninja did, to help bring a little bit of joy to your friends and family and everyone around you. I'm talking about the art of compliments. What do compliments have to do with being a ninja? Let me explain. I'm going to have to go into a little bit of background, do a little ninja splaining, so to speak. So, the ninja are noted for being very stealthy, but they really didn't spend that much time being, silent as they sneak down corridors or whatever. Most of their time was basically showing their form, as it's said in Japanese, which in Japanese the ninja would call yang ninjutsu, yonin in Japanese. When they were concealing themselves so nobody can see them, that was called yin ninjutsu or in nin in Japanese. And in the short term, that just as a yin yang symbol, you cycle through. It's not just set one or the other. You cycle through. So again, yin is winter, yang is summer. But again, after summer comes winter, then summer, winter, winter. Same thing. You would cycle through both yin and yang style ninjutsus. For example, maybe you would start out with yang ninjutsu. You would get a job as a laborer on a site. Then you would find a place to hide until everyone went home from the job, and then you come out and do your job. Or the opposite, you would low crawl through an area past the guards until you got to the soft, gooey center, as it's called, where if you're there, it's assumed that you're supposed to be there. And then you just stand up, grab something, and pretend to be a servant, delivering something. And a great example of this is the old movie, True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. At the start, he basically has got the scuba gear on. He's coming out. He gets in. He opens up his dry suit, and there's a tuxedo underneath it. He grabs a tray of drinks and goes into party where his targets are. Yeah, great, great example of the realistic use of the concept. The idea of the tuxedo being perfectly pressed underneath a dry suit, not so realistic, but again, it's a great movie. So that's short term, but also in the long term, the ninja would be, basically go into an area and establish themselves. And, they would go in maybe pretending to be a merchant or something like that. And then they would just ask questions. There's a skill called elucidation, which is, like having people give you more information than they think they do. I wrote about it in my little ebook, Modern Ninjutsu a Primer. It's easy to give away more information than you think, but also, and it's what they would do is pick up information just talking to people and piece things together to get a grand picture. In the Shoninki, they talked about a type of ninja that never even entered the area that they were examining and just talked to people coming from there about things. But one of the things that they would do when they got to an area, a target area, the enemy territory, is that they would try to cultivate relationships with people inside the government there or people that knew things and have them work for them, knowing or unknowingly passing along information or doing little acts, things like that. So to do that, they had to have social skills. And in the Bansan Shukai, there's a poem by Issei Yoshimori attributed to him that, well, roughly translated, going by memory, it's like the skills that the ninja have to learn are many, but the most important is getting close to a person. So, yeah, so in order to manipulate people, they had to kind of like build up a relationship. And one of the key things to do that is compliments done right. And today you can do compliments even if you don't want to manipulate people, even if you don't want to be a modern ninja. Being able to compliment people and bring a little joy to their life is a good thing. Complimenting people and things, showing appreciation, exhibiting sympathy. These are all great things to do to people all around you. Again, you may never want to manipulate somebody, but is it really so bad to, raise someone's spirits a little bit by pointing something out good about them? Or more productive is reinforcing good habits. Okay, so the other day I was in line and there was a couple of kids and their mother behind me, and I looked back and the kids just looked up and smiled at me and gave a little nod. turned to the mother and said, I'm so used to kids being little monsters nowadays. You've really done a good job raising these kids. You should be proud of yourself. And she was glad, and she's probably going to keep doing what she does to raise those kids right. So yeah, so it's not hard to practice this. 2 or 3 times a day, just find a friend or a stranger on the street, maybe the clerk at the convenience store, and just try complimenting them. Try showing appreciation or sympathy. Um, you know, this is a skill. You don't just do it perfectly off the bat. You're going to, kind of like crash and burn a few times. Uh, but from the start, the things that, when you compliment somebody, it's got to be relevant. You've got to, it's got to be real. No false compliments, at least not at the beginning level. There's something later on. I mean, I could write a whole book about manipulation. I did on the 5 emotions and 5 feelings, but whole thing. But it's got to be true, okay? And secondly, it can't be denied, which kind of goes with being true. But you want to avoid anything where they're like, "Oh shucks, it's nothing." Okay, it's something that they did that they can take pride in, and basically they can't just try to push away. And just try it everywhere. Try it when you can. If you're out on Thanksgiving, and you're filling up a gas, just turn to the clerk and say, "Hey, I know it sucks being here instead of at home, but I really appreciate people like pumping gas, so that we can get to our families." And you might find something out. When I did that last Thanksgiving, the guy was saying, "I like this because I'm getting, I think it was like 2.5 times normal pay." So yeah, things like that. And this develops a skill that you can use later on. Maybe later on you want to convince your boss to give you a raise, or convince your uncle to give up smoking, and maybe later on. But in the short run, you learn how to appreciate people. You learn how to see the good in people, and you really start looking at people. If you make an effort 2 or 3 times a day to compliment somebody, then you're going to start looking at them. You're going to start reading them. You're going to start connecting with them, and that's good for you. And of course, as I've tried to stress, you're going to make them feel better for themselves. You're going to make this world a little bit better than it was when you walked in. It's not hard to do. It is a skill, and you will get better, but it just feels good to make people feel better. And when you see that you've like complimented somebody and they walk a little straighter with a little bit of smile, great. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a major thing. I mean, just the other day I was walking down the street and some guy had a T-shirt with Yoda on it, and I just go, good choice in movies you have. Very, very good." And he smiled and he said, "Thanks, man." And he keeps walking on. He was walking out. I was walking in. That's it. That's all it takes. Just try to do it 2 or 3 times a day. If you've got a friend that's depressed or needs a little cheering up, find something to bring up and raise their spirits. Okay? This is something that, again, it is a ninja skill. You can use it later on. It's like a foundation for later skills of being a ninja influence. So if you want to be a ninja, fine. If you don't want to be, use it as ninja did, you're still going to get something out of it. But that's what I have for today. Go out and start complimenting people and build the skills. The world will be better for it. Thank you.